Hello Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus, and welcome to your reading. So Scorpio, today we're going to go over your past, present, as well as your future, but we're also going to see the ultimate outcome of your current situation. So with all that being said, Scorpio, let's get started. For Scorpio, Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus. All right, Scorpio, in the past, we do have the Knight of Wands. Your current energy is a Page of Swords. In the near future, we do have the Page of Pentacles. As far as your ultimate outcome is concerned, we do have the Four of Pentacles. Okay. All right, Scorpio, in regards to the overall energy that I'm seeing for you thus far, I do feel like there is a lot of games being played on someone's behalf. I am definitely getting that. A lot of games are being played on someone's behalf. There is a huge possibility, Scorpio, that you could be dealing with somebody who is very, very immature, especially for their age. I just kind of feel like... I just kind of feel like instead of you playing this childish game with them, it's like you're choosing to retract your energy from this person and not give in to like these childish games that this person's playing with you. I'm also getting that as far as communication is concerned, this person ain't the best. I am definitely getting that. They're not the best when it comes down to communicating with you. But like I said, instead of you giving into these childish games, it kind of looks like you're choosing to retract your energy from this person. So obviously something happened here between the two of you. That's causing this person to act very, very childish and immature. But let's look at the Knight of Wands and see what's going on here. Yeah, so it looks like there was like a really big fight slash argument that basically transpired here between you and this person. It looks like you confronted this person about something. Looks like you confronted this person about something, and it could have been something that this person was, withholding from you. It could have been something that this person was lying to you about. It could have been over something that this person was doing, but I do see you confronting this person about something that they basically said and or did that they basically knew was wrong. I am definitely getting that. Whatever it is that you're confronting, this person about, it's something that they knew was wrong. They knew that they shouldn't have did, but they did it anyways, is basically what I'm getting. And it looks like you confronted this person, about it. I feel like this is you just simply trying to have like an adult conversation with this person in particular, but it might be hard for you to have an adult conversation with this person due to how like immature they could be at times. I'm also getting that this person tends to get very defensive as well when you tend to confront them about things. They tend to like instantly get defensive with you, making it a lot harder for you to have like an adult conversation with them. Now, this is somebody who does come off to me as somebody that you've been dealing with for quite some time now. I don't necessarily feel like this is a new person at all, but let's look at this Page of Swords energy, Scorpio. We do have the Hermit. Okay. We have the Emperor, and then we also have the Queen of Wands. I just feel like you want this person to basically act their age is basically what I'm getting. And I think that it's very frustrating for you that you find yourself dealing with somebody who just clearly cannot even act their age. For some of you, you could even be dealing with somebody who is older than you, but you're far more mature than they are. Even if this person, is essentially younger than you and you're older than them, they still don't act their age is basically what I'm getting. And I feel like that's what causes you to just want to retract your energy from this person and not even bother to go back and forth, with them, because a lot of you know yourself well enough to know that when it comes down to like dealing with immature people, it kind of looks like you just don't have the patience for that. And I think that you know that about yourself very, very well. So instead of you going back and forth with this person, playing these little games with them, you just choose to like, retract your energy, from them instead of going back and forth with them and working yourself up over somebody who doesn't know how to act their age is basically what I'm getting. I just kind of feel like there's someone who's just far more mature, and that someone could definitely be you. That's, far more mature in this entire situation slash relationship. Of course, if the energy is resonating vice versa, then it's resonating vice versa. But I just kind of feel like whether it's you or your person who tends to act way more mature than the other, I feel like that is what, creates a lot of tension and conflict, between, you and this person, because you're expecting this person to act their age. You're expecting this person to act mature. You're expecting this person to, you know, be able to have an adult conversation with you. And the fact that they clearly can't do that, yeah, that tends to really, really frustrate you is basically what I'm getting. All right. Now, in the near future, we do have the Page of Pentacles to a Justice card to a Three of Cups. And then we also have the Ten of Swords. Yeah, this to me feels like your energy. Yeah, this to me feels like your energy. You know, I feel like this has been an ongoing thing between you and this person, you know, as far as them constantly doing things to self-sabotage this relationship with you, and then you not being able to talk to them or have an adult conversation with them because, you know, they're way too immature to even have, you know, an adult, you know, conversation, you know, with. I'm also getting that you and this person have like a lot of unresolved issues with one another. And I feel like it has a lot to do with the fact that at the end of the day, it looks like you're dealing with somebody who's very, very immature, especially for their age. So even when this person does do something wrong and you try to have a conversation with them about it, you know, the two of you typically don't end up with any sort of like resolution and or solution to the problem is basically what I'm getting. But it's due to like their level of like immaturity is basically what I'm getting. So I'm getting a lot of unresolved issues due to like their level of immaturity. Not to defend this person, Scorpio, or like piss you off, because I feel like you're already like, you know, aggravated and annoyed with this person. But again, I'm not trying to defend this person or anything like that. But this person does continue to show up as a page 2 times, which is basically telling me that you are for sure dealing with somebody who is very, very immature, especially for their age. They could be older than you and they still act like, you know, they're a teenager. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, this person is just very, very immature. And what I'm about to say, I don't want to come across as if I'm defending them or anything like that, because I'm not trying to defend this person. But I do feel, unfortunately, unfortunately, this person just doesn't know any better, to be completely honest. They just don't know any better. So again, I'm not trying to defend them or their behavior or anything like that. They just don't know any better. They're just childish and, you know, immature. They've never really learned how to honestly grow up and mature. You know, this is also somebody who never really learned from their mistakes. So that's another thing too. So the same issues, for example, that you find yourself having with this person, Scorpio, are issues that somebody prior to you could have been having with this person. You know, they're just an immature person because they refuse to basically grow up and mature and learn from their mistakes, you know? So I do feel like, you know, part of all of this is, you know, their fault. You know, I am definitely getting that part of this is all their fault, you know, as far as like them refusing to grow up and mature as an individual. But I feel like a part of it truly isn't this person's fault. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is this person's incapable of having an adult conversation with you. Like they're just incapable of that. They're incapable of coming down to like resolutions and solutions. They're just incapable of that. These are things that they just personally don't know how to do. And I get it. You know, this person might be in their, you know, mid 20s, late 20s. They might be, you know, in their early 30s, mid 30s, like, or above, you know what I mean? And you're expecting, you know, for them to be able to have an adult conversation. You're expecting for them, because I keep getting the whole, like, you using their age. Yeah, I keep getting the whole you using their age. And this is kind of why you're so frustrated, because you keep using their age. Well, they're such and such age. They should know how to have an adult conversation. They should know where they're going wrong. They should know that they shouldn't be doing this. They should know that they shouldn't be doing that. And I get it. I understand where you're coming from, but I'm honestly looking at someone that is just very, very incapable of the things that you're basically asking of them. Unfortunately, you know what I mean? Unfortunately. Scorpio. So like I said, part of this is their fault because they refuse to grow up and mature, but part of this is honestly, you know, not their fault in regards to like, you know, them trying to have an adult conversation. They're incapable of that. They don't know how to do that. You know, as far as like them coming down to like a resolution, you know, between the two of you, or some type of solution between the two of you, they're incapable of these things. They don't know how to do these things. You may know how to do these things, you know, as far as like being mature and having an adult conversation is concerned and coming down to like a resolution and or solution, but they just personally don't know how to do all of that. You know, that is like, that is something that's very foreign to them. That is something that they clearly don't know how to do. So with the Justice card to the Three of Cups to the Ten of Swords coming out here, you know, this to me, Scorpio, feels like your energy, as I mentioned. It looks like you're making a decision about this immature individual that you have, in your life. And this to me feels like, a situation where you're choosing to bring this entire dynamic between you and this person, to an end. I feel like a part of you is happy about this relationship coming to an end, but a part of you isn't. And a part of you that's essentially happy that this relationship, is coming to an end between the two of you, has a lot to do with the fact that, well, at least you don't have to deal, with this person's lies. At least you don't have to deal with this person's immature ways. At least you don't have to deal with this person's self-sabotaging ways anymore. But a part of you is very sad and disappointed. And I feel like it has a lot to do with the fact that you saw a lot of potential within this person. You saw the potential for this person to grow up and mature and be the man or the woman that you basically needed them to be. And unfortunately, they just couldn't be that. For you, due to them, refusing to grow up and, mature and, things of that nature. You got to also understand too, and like I said, I'm pretty sure that you're not the first person that has probably said this about them. I'm pretty sure this person has, dealt with this many, many times in previous relationships, even prior to basically meeting you. But this is that type of person that the reason why this person doesn't really grow up and mature, is because they're very quick to point the finger at everybody else. Everybody else is a problem but them. And this is what keeps them in this very immature state. If this person were to grow up and mature, obviously it would benefit them a whole lot, especially when it comes down to romantic relationships. The problem is that they're way too immature to see where they're, it's like they're way too immature to see like what's really going on here. You know what I mean? Like when you tell this person that you want this person to get better at communicating with you, you know what I mean? They don't see the benefit in all of this for them. You know what I mean? They just see all of this as like an attack. You know what I mean? Like you're attacking them. But it's not honestly an attack. You know what I mean? It's not an attack. You're noticing something that this person needs to work on and or improve on, and you're just pointing it out to them. And if this person were to take it seriously and actually work on that, they wouldn't have these issues that they find themselves having with you, and they wouldn't have had these issues with everybody else that they dealt with prior to you. But that's the thing, is that pages are people that love to point the finger at the other person. Oh, it's their fault. They're the reason why I'm like this, and it's because of them. It's because of them. But I mean, they could continue to sing this song all they want, but they're going to keep getting told the exact same thing just from different people. Oh, you're immature. Oh, I can't talk to you, and all this and all that. You know what I mean? Basically, at some point this person needs to wake up and realize that people don't go around saying the same thing about you over and over and over and over again and it be a lie. You know what I mean? Because I don't feel like you're the first person that has had to deal with this from this person, as far as them being immature, them being hard to speak to and have a conversation with, things of that nature. Now, as far as the ultimate outcome is concerned, we got the Nine of Swords, we got the Eight of Pentacles, and then we also have the World. It kind of looks like when shit starts to get real in this entire situation, that's when this person wants to like put in the work to change. That's when this person, wants to grow up. That's when this person, realizes that their actions and their behavior is basically causing them to essentially head in the wrong direction, especially within this dynamic that they share with you, because all their other actions and their behavior is essentially doing is pushing you further and further away from them. And that's not what this person essentially wants, but that's something that's this person's essentially realizing is happening here. Their actions and their behavior are not bringing you closer and closer to them. It's pushing you further and further away from them. So then there's that. Let's not forget about the fact that you are dealing with a page. Pages are people who are codependent off of people. So with that being said, in some way, shape, or form, obviously you would know how, but in some way, shape, or form, this person believes that they need you in their life in some way, shape, or form. So they're pushing away the very thing that they can't live without. You see what I mean? Like it's like the more I break this person down, the more, I'm pretty sure you're starting to realize that this person does a lot of things that doesn't make logical sense. It's like the epitome of cutting off the hand that feeds you. Why would you cut off the hand that feeds you? Why would you cut off the hand that feeds you? You know what I mean? Like if you're down to starve, then all right, fine, that's one thing. But if you're not down to starve, don't cut off the hand that feeds you. You know, but there's that type of person that doesn't want to starve, but they'll turn around and cut off the hand that feeds them. Again, doesn't make logical sense, but then again, you are dealing with somebody who is showing up as a page. They do a lot of things, without thinking. They do a lot of things that just doesn't fucking make sense. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. Like, when it comes down to you in some way, shape, or form, this person thinks that they need you. I don't know how this person basically needs you. They might need you financially. They might need you, because they have a fear of being alone. I don't know why this person feels like they need you. Obviously, you would know why this person, feels like they need you because you've been dealing with them for quite some time now. So I think that you know why, this person feels like they need you in their life and they can't be without you. But again, it's like, if you need this person in your life, you can't be without them for whatever reason you may have. Why push this person away? Why put yourself in that predicament to turn around and end up losing that person? Again, they do a lot of things that just don't make no freaking sense. You know what I mean? And I think that now that you've made this choice to bring this entire situation to an end, now reality is starting to kind of sink in on their behalf. And now they're starting to kind of realize that if they don't put in the work to basically change, this entire situation is coming to an end. You know what I mean? For good, because I think that this person knows by now that if they don't put in the work to change, you're not going to turn around and basically take this person back. But I think that this person just needs to wake up already and realize that they're doing a lot of things in this dynamic and even in this person's personal life where it has nothing to do with you, that doesn't make any logical sense. Doesn't make any logical sense. It doesn't make sense. And I feel like I said, I feel like this person does it with you, but I feel like this person does it with a lot of other people, like their family members and friends. It's like they'll do people in ways that they really shouldn't be doing people, but they do it anyways. You know what I mean? Like they put themselves in predicaments that just don't make no freaking logical sense. You know what I mean? It just doesn't make sense. This is, like I said, this is that type of person that'll literally cut off the hand that, feeds them. They don't want to starve though. They don't want to starve, but they'll turn around and cut off the hand that feeds them anyways. It's like, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. It does not make sense. Like, at some point, this person needs to wake up and realize that they're pushing a really good thing away because they just want to continue to remain childish and immature. Because they just basically refuse to basically grow up is basically what I'm getting. How is Scorpio going to respond and react to this ultimate outcome? Oh, well, shit. By the time this person decides to get their act together and put in the work to actually change, it might just be too fucking late, to be honest. With the 7 of Wands, the 6 of Wands, the 10 of Pentacles, dude, once you bring this relationship to an end, although it may suck and you don't want to do all of that, you know what I mean? Once you make that choice to bring this entire situation to an end, no matter how much it may kill you, no matter how much it may freaking hurt you to do this, and you start to get a taste of what life is like without the minute, you ain't gonna want to go back to this. You ain't gonna want to go back to this because not only do you not have to deal with having this immature person, you know what I mean, around, at least you don't have anybody stressing you out. At least you don't have anybody constantly doing shit behind your back. You know what I mean? Like there's so much, and I feel like that's where this person fucked up, to be honest, but I feel like there's so much good that you're going to find yourself experiencing without this person in it. It's not even funny, and I feel like that's where this person went wrong. They pushed you so far to the point where now you're deciding to get up and walk away. And now you're also getting a taste of what life is like without them in it. And it just so happens to be better than life with them in it. You see what I mean? Like this person's pushing you and pushing you and pushing you, but they don't realize, what they're pushing you towards, which is a life of peace, which is a life of greatness. You know what I mean? And harmony and, stability and abundance and, just overall a stress-free life. You see what I mean? Like, so that's another thing, I feel like that's where they, kind of went wrong. Had this person been treating you the way that they should have been treating you, all right, different story, you know what I mean? But because this person hasn't been doing the things that they, should have been doing, they're just continuing to push you and push you and push you, but they don't realize what they're pushing you towards, which is your happily ever after. And it just so happens to be without them in it. So in a way, they kind of played themselves. They basically played themselves. They basically played themselves because as they're pushing you towards a life of peace, harmony, abundance, stability, greatness, all that good stuff, you know what I mean? They just put themselves, you know, in a predicament to basically lose the very thing that they think, believe, and feel they can't honestly be without. And to be honest, they kind of brought all this upon themselves. But then again, they do a lot of things without thinking. They do a lot of things that don't make logical sense. And it's all because this person refuses to learn from their mistakes. It's all because this person refuses to grow up and basically mature. If this person were to just stop putting up the fight and just grow up and mature and learn from their mistakes and realize where they're going wrong, they wouldn't be making poor decisions like this. You don't cut off the hand that feeds you, especially knowing good and damn well you don't want to starve. You just don't do that. That doesn't make no freaking sense. It just doesn't make sense. All right. So that is what I have for you, my friend. Hopefully the reading helped. Hopefully it resonated. And I will see you guys in your next reading. Bye.